Now it's time for Movie Friends with your hosts Michelle and Seth. We're talking film without pretension. We're finding cats that are unexpected. We'll watch a movie, film, or schmovie. And we want you to join our journey. So subscribe and share this podcast, or this might just be the last of the Movie Friends. We're movie friends. We want to be your movie friends.
Hey, welcome to Movie Friends. I'm here with my friend Seth Vargas, who has been practicing making Aloo Gobi.
Okay, well, hey, this is the first time it was going to happen. That's what I was going to say about you, my friend, Michelle Rubenstein.
Hey, maybe we're just practicing together.
Maybe. There you go.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Bend It Like Beckham.
It's here.
David Beckham.
Posh and Bex.
Posh and Bex. I'm doing well. We're in this ping pong, to use a sports term.
Very
We're
nice.
in this ping pong tariff thing. Oh my
Yeah.
God, we were just talking about it. I can't keep up.
I honestly don't even try.
That's kind of how I feel today. But yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, well, then I guess it just doesn't matter what I know and what I don't know because things just change at the flip of a coin. And
So rapidly, it's hard to
Yeah.
keep up.
it's terrible.
It's terrifying.
Oh, yours was better. Oh, no. What's going on with you? You've got a special shirt on.
I do. Last week you requested the Bocce Bitch shirt, so it is here.
Wow, that is quite the shirt.
Woohoo!
For those of you
sparkle.
who can't see, because this is an audio podcast, Michelle is wearing a baseball tee.
Yeah.
I think a long sleeve baseball tee.
3/4.
It is a teal color?
Light blue.
Aquamarine?
Yeah.
And it's got gold lettering on it. Wow. It's a lot. I'll say, when you described this shirt a few episodes ago, I wasn't expecting the high quality that I'm seeing, I guess.
I know. Honestly, I'm surprised that it's held up this well because I've worn it a fair share. And it's
Wow.
pretty old. It's probably 6 years old, 7 years old.
Oh my gosh. I have t-shirts that are like 20 years
Oh,
old.
no,
I was expecting it to be like forever.
Well, I do too, but the fact that it's glitter and it's stayed on, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like it's washed well.
What is the oldest shirt that you have? Do you have any from your teen years?
Well, I have my Spice Girls tour tee, and I framed that.
Oh, okay.
That's when I was 20.
Hmm.
But from my teen years, no, unfortunately.
We get a little bit of Spice Girls in this movie.
We sure do.
Wish we got a little more, but we can talk
Same.
about that.
Always. Yeah. I always need more spice.
Hey, do you need more emails?
I do, but can I share a new Apple Podcast review that we got?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes, we're very excited about
That
this.
sounded so disingenuous.
Wow, thanks so much. Make friends with movie friends. 5 stars from Scott Malpin. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Maupin. Is it Maupin?
Yeah.
No, okay. I really enjoy the laid-back and positive vibe of this show. I appreciate the level of film discussion, and it encourages me to try out new films as well as rewatch old favorites. Thanks, Seth and Michelle, with 4 exclamation points.
Ooh, wowee.
Thank you.
That's an exclamation point for each word in that sentence. Thanks, Seth and Michelle.
Go team!
Goal.
Woo.
Well, hey, thanks, Scott. We are inching ever closer to our goal of having more Apple Podcast reviews than Jamie Kennedy. I can't wait. That's going to be the best day of my life.
It'll feel so good to have that accomplishment.
Yep. Hey, but we did get an email.
Email.
Subject line is Rocky, and it says, "Hi, friends. I am so glad that Rocky was part of your sports month so that I could experience watching with my Mitchums. I have 2 takeaways from your episode. 1, Seth unabashedly talking about Rocky beating the meat. That particular phrasing added a nice alternate visualization. I don't know what you're talking about. 2, regarding the pacing of the movie, specifically the day of the fight. Mitch was talking about wanting to get to the fight already. I think they did a really great job exemplifying the anticipatory anxiety, the feeling of wanting to get the big event going when you're finally about to start. In my experience, it's what it really feels like on a competition day. Hurry up and let me start, leading quickly into, oh wow, it's over already. The whole movie just feels like a very real human experience, as opposed to, say, the Hangover trilogy, and then a big blue heart. And this letter was not signed, but I believe that this is your husband, Anthony.
Yes, he is the one who calls me Mitchums, and we did watch it together. So that is husband.
Yeah, as we mentioned, Anthony does like fitness competitions.
High rocks specifically. Yeah,
Can you've been there?
I have. Yeah,
What's the smell in the room?
not bad. I've only been to
Good.
one,
Okay.
and I really thought I was going into it thinking, wow, 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 it's going to
Sure.
smell. And it didn't. I was like really pleasantly surprised. But, you know, we're all friends here, and never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Whoa, okay.
I was going to say how like Aunt all of a sudden started smelling. And so like we're on this like smell journey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he stinks
Look,
now. He's
you
real
get
smelly.
older, your pH changes, you know?
Well, yeah, and we think it's like the higher
pH.
consumption of milk that he's taking
Oh.
in. Yeah, like his odor has changed significantly.
Wow. Hey, send us
Yeah.
an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Has your odor changed significantly? And is it due to milk?
Also, Aunt, if you're listening, hopefully this won't trigger you. It's been a tense subject in our household.
Hey, it happens.
It does. You know, I'm at armpit height. So when I
Sure.
go in for a hug, I'm like, oh, and then Ant's like,
Sure.
I'm doing the best I can. And so
Right.
every night he's like, I scrub real hard, get in there and smell. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this before
So maybe
bed.
something with you has changed.
No,
Maybe something in your nose hormones have broken.
my nose hormones.
Yeah, look, I'm not a scientist, okay?
Yeah,
I said pH earlier.
that makes sense though. Your pH level
Does
can
it?
change.
What does pH stand for?
Physical
Health. Sure.
Sure. Well, thanks, husband.
Yes.
And like we always say, we love to hear from you. So send us an email. Write us that Apple Podcast review. Write us that Spotify review.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be
Can you
great.
do reviews on Spotify?
You can. And
Oh.
what you could do is you can rate and you can leave comments. And I love when we get comments over on Spotify.
Please.
And you know what? Shout out to the YouTube audience we got
Dude.
going on. You guys are the sleepers and we love it.
We get comments on ancient episodes, stuff that is like so far removed from our brain, and people are commenting on YouTube, and it's like a time machine.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
It's great. But before we get into our discussion, we're going to guess and write down what we think the other is going to rate this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this year we're competing for pickles. We're not doing so hot. Like right now, I've only won 3 pickles and Seth has won 5.
We were doing really well, I feel like. And now we've just hit a real slump.
Not great.
So, but you know what? Today's the day that we turn it around.
I'm locked in.
My prediction is written, my notebook is closed, and I am also locked in.
We're talking about Bend It Like Beckham from 2002. This was my pick for Sports Month, and I'm really excited to revisit it with you, Seth.
Nice.
Yeah. This movie was directed by Gorinda Chadha, written by Gorinda Chadha, Gulit Bindra, and Paul Mayadia Burgess. Cinematography by Lin Zhang. Composed by Craig Pruis. Edited by Justin Krish. Costume design Ralph Wheeler Holes. Starring Parminder Nagra, Keira Knightley, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, Anupam Kher, Archie Punjabi, Shaznay Lewis, Frank Harper, and Juliet Stevenson. Seth, why don't you read us a little summary to get us started?
Okay. Jess Bamra is a British Indian teenager torn between her traditional Sikh family's expectations and her dream of playing professional football. When she's recruited by a local women's team, Jess must navigate cultural clashes, friendship, romance, and her passion for the game, all while trying to prove she can honor her heritage and chase her goal to find her own way to bend it like Beckham.
Very nice.
Wow, well done.
Thank you. So, what's your experience with football, soccer? We talked about this last week, how we weren't involved with sports as kids. Like, I never played soccer as a kid. I always wanted to eat the oranges, and you ate the oranges without playing soccer.
Right.
But have you played with friends? Have you ever attended a game?
Yeah, well, so when I was in school, we had some Bolivian friends.
Mhm.
And so we would, play the old football occasionally. They were much better than me, of course. But I enjoyed soccer. It wasn't a game that we played. We didn't play like pickup soccer games around the neighborhood. We would play street hockey for some reason. I never wore the rollerblades, so I was just running around with a hockey stick. We would play that and basketball. And then soccer was pretty much reserved for like, hey, you be the goalie and I'm going to kick at the fence kind of a thing. Yeah.
My Bill Bob, my brother-in-law Bobby, he's a goalie for the Long Island Soccer Club.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And we've never been to a game, and my sister doesn't go to games. It's almost like we never talk about it. And I would love to go see him
You're
play.
like the family in this movie. You're ashamed. You're ashamed of this guy playing soccer.
I'm not ashamed of it. He never wants anybody to go, but I would love to go see him play.
You're living Bend It Like Beckham. What the heck?
A few years ago.
Is he lying and saying he's at a job?
No. We all know he goes and plays. He just doesn't want anybody to attend to watch, which I find strange. Like, my sister's never gone to a game of his.
That's insane to me. That's
I
crazy.
know. A few years ago, a documentary came out on Netflix on David Beckham.
Mm-hmm.
And I became obsessed with David Beckham and football for about like 5 days.
Mm.
And Aunt and I were planning on going to London that year. And I was like, Aunt, we have to go to a football game.
Sure.
And
a
so,
match, I think.
Yeah, a match. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw England versus Italy. And it was
you went?
Yes, it was so fun.
Wow. Okay.
It was so cool. And it was just like to just hoot and holler in the stands. Like, boo, Italy. Yeah, boo. High five, everyone near you. Go, England.
I can't imagine ever siding with England over Italy, except for maybe in World War II. But
Sure. But you haven't seen this movie.
No.
This is your first time sitting down to watch it. So take me through it. What was it like? Did your family watch with you?
I watched this, I think, maybe after my kids were already in bed. But I watched it with Jean. She had a late night work meeting, but it was something that she could do kind of half in the bag. You know what I mean? Well, half in the bag, I think, means drunk. So not that. Half in the bag means you got your laptop open and you're watching a movie to me. But
sure, we can make that happen.
So we watched it together for the most part, and we were commenting on, the early 2000s and like the music. And I think that she hadn't seen it either. And the first thing that I was struck by was how it was shot.
Yeah.
I was expecting a much more polished Disney kind of a look to it, because the only thing I knew about Bend It Like Beckham was like the poster.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that Keira Knightley was in it, and that was about it. So yeah, so I was impressed with how it looked, and I love films from India.
Mm-hmm.
So I was excited. I don't go out of my way to listen to I guess this would be like Punjabi music, but I'm into it. I'm into it a lot. And yeah, so I had a good time with it. I felt like this movie could just be retitled like Gay Panic the Movie. But not like how normally like in America, normally when we talk about gay panic in like the 80s and 90s and stuff, it's like people making fun of or like try to avoid the appearance of. But this is literally like people are panicked because they think that Jess is gay like 5 times throughout the movie.
Well, and Jules too.
It just keeps happening over and over and over again. But I liked it. And I mean, we've got, female director and writer, and I guess I was like, does this movie need to be 2 hours long?
Totally.
And like, where are we going? Like, are they going to follow them like to America? Because we've got a lot of time, and I didn't feel like they were telling a lot of story. So that was kind of my main takeaways.
Yeah, I came across this movie around when it came out, when it was
Sure.
released in the US, and my friend Amy and I were just obsessed with it. And I asked her earlier this week, I was like, "Do you remember how we came across Bend It Like Beckham?" And she goes, "I don't. I just know we watched it at your house a lot." And we loved the story. I loved that it was written and directed by a woman. I love that it starred 2 women, especially a woman of color.
Mm-hmm.
And we were also we were so obsessed with Joe and his white button-down shirt.
Sure. Yeah.
We were just like, this is the hottest. This is the hottest thing. And we'll get into Joe and how I feel about him now. But
Sure.
fast forward, I attended Stony Brook University for 1 semester, and I took a film class. And the last question of that exam had to do with Bend It Like Beckham.
Wow.
And I was so happy. I didn't know that was coming, and that saved my butt. And so Bend It Like Beckham has such a special place in my heart.
Do you remember the question?
I don't. This film class, you attended during, I think it was like once a week for 3 hours, and then you had to go back Monday nights and watch the film, whatever.
Okay.
And they wouldn't tell you ahead of time. And I was like, I'm not going back to campus at 8:00 at night to go watch a film. Like, I'll do this on my own time.
Yeah.
And so I didn't show up for the last film viewing. And so they're like, if you don't show up, you're not going to know. It's going to reflect on what the last question of the exam will be. And when I saw it was about Bend It Like Beckham, it was something about themes, and you had to write an essay. And I was like, yes, my God, do I know Bend It Like Beckham?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It saved your butt. Holy
It
cow.
saved my butt and that exam. Yeah.
See, I would have gone and been like, I've never seen this.
Well, you probably would have shown up on Mondays and watched the movies.
Oh, absolutely. I would have. Yeah.
Yeah. Gurinder Chadha, she was inspired to write this story when she saw Arsenal and England striker Ian Wright wearing a Union Jack. Now, to be honest with you, I had no idea what a Union Jack was. Even this whole sentence, I'm like, what is the significance of this statement?
Yes.
Right. So
we'll see where I'm lost is a striker. I know that that's a position, so I'm like, sure, yeah.
Right. Yeah. We'll just go with it, right? So the Union Jack is where I was held up on, is essentially the flag of the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was of significance because to see a Black man who was a footballer in the Union flag is such a powerful image because it's representing breaking down barriers, because there's such racism within the sport.
Sure.
Hopefully it's getting better. But at the time, nothing like this was ever seen. And so she thought things must be changing in the world of sports. And she thought, well, what if I write a story about an Indian girl who's obsessed with David Beckham and wants to play football? And also, like, let me incorporate the evolving concept of what it's like to be British.
I think that this is a movie geared towards younger people.
Yeah.
And so some of the criticism of the movie that I experienced was a little, I think they were looking for the movie to be saying more specific things, where I feel like this movie is saying kind of like general things. And I think the general things that it's saying are good. But this isn't a movie that's going really far out of its way to make like very, very specific points. But what it does do is it gets into the lives of the 2 main characters.
Yeah.
To say specific things about their lives and their experiences.
Yeah, and I mean, generally speaking, for the time, this was huge for women's soccer.
Sure, yeah.
And to show, just to have a movie that is starring two women revolving around a male dominated sport.
It was very interesting the whole time they're talking about, well, we need to go to America to play professional football because, yes, interest in football and soccer has grown over time. But like the idea of leaving Britain for America to have an opportunity in football is very funny to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like everything to them, and to us it's like, yeah, that's like the fifth sport that we're interested in.
Right. Did you notice Jess, she's obsessed with David Beckham. In Jules's bedroom, it's all Mia Hamm.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
The soccer football thing is very funny to me. Do you call it football or soccer?
Well, I mean, living here, I call it soccer, but
Right.
in this movie, do we refer to it as football?
Right, it's football. Yeah.
It's football, right?
Yeah. I just think it's funny because like Americans, we do things that we think are correct, and the rest of the world doesn't do them.
I was looking up the origin of why we call it soccer, and it started in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I guess most things, right?
Right.
But I could not get a definitive answer. And truth be told, I just gave up. I was like, okay, whatever.
So is there soccer and then there's shoer?
Sure.
Yeah, because you play it with your feet. So soccer, shoer. Michelle's upset.
I'm just like, I don't even have a good anything for that. I don't have a good smirk or anything.
Right, yeah.
I read that it has soccer taken from the word association. Soccer's in associate. And then I was like, again, I'm like, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And then it started in Britain, and then I guess, I don't know. Hey, send us an email. Someone's got to have like a too long didn't read version answer.
We need a sports phone a friend this month for real.
That would be great.
But yeah, like Americans will be like, oh no, that's not football, that's soccer. We know what football is. It's this other thing, and the rest of the world is like, no.
Yeah.
And then we call our flag the red, white, and blue. And it's like, do you know how many flags around the world are red, white, and blue? It's like, no, we're the red, white, and blue. It's like France. Yeah, France is red, white, and blue. England is red, white, and blue. Like
UK, yeah.
It's, but yeah, we're very. We think that we're very superior in everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the idea that they would need to come to the States it's just very crazy to me.
What I find interesting, one of the things I find interesting about this is Chada casts Parminder Nagra and Keira Knightley, two actresses who are not soccer players, instead of casting soccer players who could act.
Interesting. I was curious about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so she cast these two women, and then for extras for the team and stuff, she used actual football players, but she just put them through extensive training. And that was part of the gig. And anytime they felt it was getting difficult, she's like, well, we could go another route. And they're like, no, we will nail this. Wow. And so much so, like, Parminder, she learned how to bend it like Beckham, so to speak. She learned that free curve.
What does this mean? What does this mean? Do you know what this means?
I do.
Because I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, and in 2002, put a gun to Seth's head in 2002, he did not know who David Beckham was.
Right. Okay.
Sports were not on my radar. So like when this movie came out, like, oh, Bend It Like Beckham, I was like, who's Beckham? Is one of these girls Beckham?
Well, that's a huge thing too, because he wasn't really a big deal here in the States for us. So much so, like, when it came to distribution, they wanted her to change the title of the movie and call it like Move It Like Mia. And which would have been interesting, right? Because we only see Mia Hamm in some footage on TV and posters. It's pretty much
Right.
Jess always talking to Beckham and referencing Beckham.
Right.
But essentially, bending it like Beckham is a curved free kick technique. So it's the way you curl the ball.
I knew what curved means in that sentence.
Yes, the way you kick and the curve of the ball can go around a wall of defenders into the goal.
Oh, okay. Free kick. Yeah,
Free
free
kick.
kick is when it's like okay, so a free kick is like
Well,
a
here, maybe
penalty
this
shot in basketball when you line up at the top of the key.
Well, so during a 1996 during Manchester United match
Okay.
in 96
Yes.
against Wimbledon.
Tennis?
No. Beckham scored the goal from behind the midfield with this kick.
Mhm.
And so this is like putting that bend kick on the map.
Yeah, was it just impossible to get a free
It's
kick?
just impressive. I mean, I watched so many videos of him making this kick during this match. I mean,
Yeah.
it's impressive. The distance it goes, the curve of it. But anyway, what's impressive to me is that Parminder learned this.
She learned how to do it.
She learned how to do it.
Okay, that is. Yeah.
I mean, these girls, they look really good playing football.
I mean, she's kneeing some lettuce in the air.
Yeah, and she's like, I always thought it was so cool and sly and smooth when you just like steal the ball from someone else with your foot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, you think you got it? Whoop, nope, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, I would trip over that ball. I would go.
That was always my favorite part of playing soccer. That's like the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing I've ever really practiced is, juggling between your feet and then maneuvering around and then, be like, hey, try to steal the ball from me. And I can do it.
Wow.
Not against, Parminder Nagra or Keira Knightley.
Right.
Yeah.
For like 50 seconds, I said to my brother-in-law, I was like, would you like give me soccer lessons? Years ago. And he was like, yeah. And it never happened and probably past my prime. The prime that could have been.
As I sat here, I was going to be like, no, you can do it. And then I thought, and I was like, oh, soccer's really hard. He might be.
No, you are. You are. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
So we know Jess is obsessed with Beckham and she's really good at playing football. But what did you think of her and her family and the difference between her and her sister?
I mean, this is a classic, right? Like, I want to do this thing. It's usually a creative thing. There's not too many movies about somebody who like really wants to go to business school and their family's like, we don't like that.
Good point.
It's usually a sports thing or a creative thing or something. And so in that way, the movie's fairly predictable. But again, I think that this is a movie aimed towards younger people. And something that I've experienced now because I have kids is like when young people are introduced to these things, these ideas are fresh and inspiring to them. Like I didn't finish Bend It Like Beckham and I was like, I'm inspired now to follow my dreams because I've already done that and I've been inspired 100 times. But I liked her family. Obviously, they're very staunch against her playing. But I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, her family was right. But I just love seeing cultural differences and how cultural things change over time. So, to her mom, it's like, you can't be in the park showing your legs. And that goes beyond just like the burn on her leg, right?
Which by the way, was written in because Parminder actually has that burn.
For real?
For real. She didn't get it from making beans on toast. She got it. It was another. I forgot what she was making, but yeah, that she was afraid she wouldn't get the part because of that. But that was actually written in because of that.
Okay, I'm glad that you said that because that felt like such a. Not that I didn't like it, but it was like a very interesting kind of like little aside that doesn't really come up anymore after that. But it makes sense that they would explain it if, her legs are going to be exposed for most of the movie.
Well, and also I think that's a very real feeling to have of feeling self-conscious.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But, her mom is like, you can't have your legs out. Meanwhile, a lot of women from India walk around with their midriff showing, and they don't think that is as that's not the same thing as having your legs showing. Where here in the States, more recently, crop tops came back into fashion. They were in fashion when we were younger too. But just everything kind of ebbs and flows, and something that we would find to be very innocent to them is not. I also had a friend from Kenya, and in a lot of countries around the world, men who are friends with each other will hold hands and they don't think anything of it. And I was walking with him one time and he just like reached over and held my hand as we were walking. And I was just like, this feels so weird and so strange. Not necessarily because it's another dude, but just because, like, if you and I were walking, we wouldn't be holding hands.
No, absolutely not.
You know what I mean? Here, for the most part, you hold hands with people that you're romantically interested in.
Yeah. Or you link arms with, like, I would link arms with like my best girlfriend.
I would link arms with people for sure, but holding
Different.
hands.
Yeah. Was
Holding
it
hands, lacing, sure.
Oh, lacing. You
Sure.
guys were lacing?
And I was just like, you know, we walked and then we parted ways, but internally the whole time I was just like screaming, like, I do not want to be holding somebody's hand. And again, it's not because I was like, oh man, this guy's gay or something like that.
Of course, but did you not feel comfortable to say something because you felt you were going to insult?
Right, because this is his culture.
Yeah, but you could still say something. Like if someone did, I'd be like, oh, can we talk about this?
I would never do that.
Oh, interesting.
See, like if Jess's mom came to me in the park and was like, you should not be wearing shorts, I'd be like, yes, ma'am, you're right.
Well, again, that's not your parent. It's someone else. I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I do like, though, that her father is trying to protect her, and we learn more about it. Yes, her mom wants her to stick to her, well, would like her to honor more her Punjabi Sikh heritage, but her dad was subjected to racism and lack of opportunity and that he suffered in his youth when trying to play a sport. And so he just doesn't want Jess to go through that.
I loved that. That was like one of my favorite, maybe like the scene of the movie for me.
Yeah.
Is when he says, he's like, you know, yeah, when I came here, I wanted to play cricket. And then at the end, when he realizes like, oh, you know, the only person that got hurt by quitting is me. So yeah, I did like that. And yeah, it sucks. You know, you can want things or cut things off for yourself, but when it comes to your kids, it is a like, you know what, maybe let's not introduce them to certain things in order to protect them. But where does that stop?
Yeah.
Until eventually, you know, you're sheltering your kid and trying to protect them from everything. And it's like, you just can't do that. Because guess what? They're going to go out and do it anyway. Like she does it anyway.
Right. I really enjoyed Jules' supportive father.
Oh, he's the best person in the movie.
He's the best. Like just supportive fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Very much. Mm-hmm. You know, in 2002, this did not mean anything to me at the time. And now as I've gotten older, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, this hits different. This is very refreshing to see. Mm-hmm. Jules is played by Keira Knightley. Keira is 17 in this. This is like putting Keira Knightley on the map.
Yeah.
As she quotes, she felt her acting was rubbish. I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone does what's required of them in the movie. You know, I don't think anyone stuck out as a bad performance. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, questionable on the line.
Yeah.
But, you know, we can save that. My biggest takeaway from this, because I don't have the experience of watching it when I was young and these characters existing in my mind, I was just like, these are all babies. Like these are infant children.
They are. I mean, they're teenagers. This all takes place during the summer after, you know, we're waiting to hear if we're getting into uni.
Right.
And so they're like 18 years old.
Yeah, I was just and everyone is so skinny. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like there's a certain, if you're a skinny person, there's a type of skinny that you are when you're very young that is never attained again due to age. And yeah, like Jonathan Rhys Meyers especially, I was like, this kid, holy cow, man. Baby.
Before we get into him in the love triangle, I just want to stay on Jules for a hot second.
Sure.
And I want to hear your thoughts on her mother, Paula, and the relationship dynamic between these two. And you're a parent, so
Yeah.
maybe you can speak upon her actions.
We've talked before, I can't remember what movie it was, but this idea of like, you're a white person, right? And so throughout Europe and America, you're part of the dominant culture, right? And so when you're interacting with somebody who is part of a different culture, it's like the only way that you can relate to them is through that. And this mom she's doing exactly that. Like every single thing that comes out of her mouth the first time that she meets Jess, it's just like, oh, I'm sure you're going to marry a doctor. And it's like, how many things does she know about this culture? And she's just going to exhaust all of them in one, 2-minute meeting. And then once she's done, it's like, okay, well, I have nothing to say to you now because I don't know how to relate to you as a person. It's so, as the kids say, cringe.
It is cringy.
Yes. It's horrible.
I can understand Paula wanting to connect with her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going bra shopping and she just can't understand, like, why do you want to play this sport? Like, I do not get it. And the dad is just so proud of her for playing it. Also be like, it's great that she's not involved with boys. Like, if she's doing this
Right.
instead of being like, we should celebrate this.
Right.
And so the mom like teeters on acceptance, tries to learn the game, which I love that scene of
yes,
dad.
as it goes on, she gets better. Yeah.
But then she crumbles
Right.
when she thinks she sees them kiss.
Right.
Or they do kiss in a friendly way and flips out, get your lesbian feet out of my shoes.
That was wild.
That was insane. And
Yeah.
then for Jules, I know I'm jumping ahead here, but then for Jules to be like, Mom, I'm not a lesbian just because I wear khakis and play sports. Like this
Right.
doesn't make me a lesbian. And her mom's like, oh, well, it's okay. Like being a lesbian's
Right.
okay. It's just as
Right.
long as it's not my daughter.
Right. Yeah, it's very much the Seinfeld thing of like, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
it's very, very funny to like go back to 2002 and to stop and think, okay, so like these two sets of parents, except for the dad, Jules's dad, like their worst nightmare is that their two teenage daughters in between high school and college are playing on a women's soccer team.
yeah.
Like they're literally doing nothing.
Or, I mean, how about
doing nothing?
The fact that Pinky's fiance's parents assume that they see
Sure.
Jess kiss, have a kiss with Jules, and from that call off the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we cannot be associated with this family because of what we think we saw.
Right.
That's nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy to think that, that could happen.
Yeah, and I had this one thought I kept thinking as the movie went on is bad parents make bad kids, meaning Jules and Jess, they have to lie because they can't just be themselves. Like, and so if you try to box your kids in, they're going to sneak out. And if you're not going to let them play soccer for some insane reason, then they're going to lie about what they're doing. Like, so just don't be so tight on your kids and they won't have to, break the rules in order to, I don't know, play soccer. Like it's.
Yeah. So going over to Joe. So I have so many thoughts about him watching it as an adult. Again, like the nostalgia there of the white button down and when he shows up at the bomber's door and he opens it, the sun. I sent a screenshot. I sent a picture of it to Amy and I was like, oh man, forever and always, man. She's like, we're like flame emojis, hot, hot, hard eyes, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wow, he actually wears that white button down a lot. And he's their coach. I don't think he's much older than them.
No.
Right? Jules has a crush on him. And we see pictures of them together, Jules and Joe.
Yeah.
And they seem very close, and they have like this flirtatious relationship. So I feel like there are lines that are being crossed.
I agree that I think he's supposed to be, I would say, almost their age.
Right?
Because
Like
you get
early
the
20s.
idea, you get the idea that he would be playing were he not injured. And the only reason that he's
Right.
a coach is because he's not a player. And he's not a coach of the men's team because he's not an older, experienced guy. So it's like, okay, how do I stay in this world? Well, I guess I'll manage this girls' team. So I didn't get any like, oh, he's so much older and he's like preying on
Right.
teenage girls kind of a thing. It's more just like, hey, you're in a position of authority, which means the romantic avenue has to stop.
And then the bigger question is, was this love triangle necessary? But then I also, part of me loves that he goes for Jess
Sure.
and ends
sure.
up with Jess at the end.
Yeah.
Because I think that's saying a lot and not
Sure.
going for the white girl.
Sure. I don't know if I missed something, but I was like, did this ever get resolved between Jess and Jules?
Well, I would love to know that too, because it becomes such a source of tension when they go to Germany and
I know she swears she's
Jess, Jules sees Jess and Joe. It's funny. It's like Jess, Joe, and Jules
Jess, Joe, Jules, yeah.
having a moment, and these two are now like bickering and not friends anymore. And then like all of a sudden, the scout wants them both to go to America. Jess and Joe kiss in the airport. I'm like, Jules is right there. Is Jules okay with all of this? No, I don't.
Oh, that yeah.
Yeah.
There's a movie, Jules and Jim, French
Oh, is there?
French film. And I'm curious if that was part of the inspiration for naming one of these three characters Jules, because that's about two men and a woman. Has nothing to do with soccer, but it's possible. Anyway, I don't have a problem with there being any love story. You and I always love it when there's no love story because you don't need that, right? But it was like making it a triangle. I feel like the resolution between them before the big game / wedding, I feel like it didn't happen again, unless I really missed something.
No, there was no resolution.
Yeah.
The resolution was Jess showed up at the big game, and the scout was at the game, and Jules needed Jess there, and so together they
Yeah, it was.
got scouted.
What I did love is that it produced one of my other favorite moments, which is when Jess and Joe is like, "I'm not your coach anymore," and she's like, "Look, my parents could handle soccer. They're never going to accept you," and that just kind of being the end of it. And obviously, I don't support that idea, but that felt like a little curveball that I wasn't really expecting, which then gets kind of undone. But
Right.
yeah,
Because we get the
airport kiss, and then I'll wait for you to come back.
I'll see you in December.
Look, man, I'm just gonna say it. If you're out there and you're young and your former athlete that you coached is going to another country, let her go. Don't hang on. You know what I mean? Break up.
Well, I think it's different for every person.
Sure.
And clearly for them, it works out because when we see in the future, Pinky is pregnant. They have the team photo, and the big ending scene is the dad is playing cricket with Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. But I don't know. Maybe Joe and him just struck it up, and
I mean, I'd be fine with that. I actually
you ever
would
become friends with your ex's parents? It's a hard spot to be in.
It is a hard spot to be in. My sister is in it. My sister's in it, and her exes are friends with my mom and us.
Sure.
And so,
yeah. I remember being in high school, and maybe you break up for a week or so, and I remember seeing my ex-girlfriend's mom, and she just was like, I don't know what to say to you. And, we're kind of like, commiserating, and maybe I'll see you down the road. It's a weird thing.
It is a weird thing.
So the scene and the line that I have been thinking about for hours and hours and hours, and I have been diving into the history of racism against the Irish in the UK for the last few days, is when they're playing a game and one of the opposing team calls Jess a racial slur, which causes her to get into a fight, and she's ejected, right?
She gets a flag. Yep.
Afterwards, Joe yells at her, and he's like, you can't do that. You're never going to do that again. And she's like, well, she called me this. You don't understand. And Joe says, Jess, I'm Irish. Of course I understand. And I took that one way. And then as I was hearing other people talking about the movie, it seemed like this is like the big thing that people think hasn't aged well, or they think that like Joe is kind of like minimizing her experience by daring to like compare his experience with hers. And I've been listening to this podcast about the history of Ireland, and one of the episodes he went specifically into like the history of racism against Irish people in the UK in the 1930s. And he gives like really specific court cases and quotes from judges and politicians and like social activists. And if you changed some of the nouns that are being used, it is exactly what people are saying today about our own country, using words like infestation and just everything, every possible thing, blaming the Irish for every social problem in the UK at the time, and saying if we just got rid of them, everything would be great and we would eliminate crime by 70%, one person said. Think about that. These are Irish people. These are white people. Like growing up on Long Island, you're around Irish people all the time, right? Did you ever stop and think about how much you hate Irish people?
No.
So for me, like I've really been pondering this, like trying to think like, okay, is this quote unquote problematic? Is this something that hasn't aged well? And then I stopped and I was like, this movie was written by two Indian women, British Indian women, and they chose to put that in there. And so it was like not Joe trying to minimize her experience, but them trying to pull them all together and be like, hey, we've all kind of been unfairly treated and we've all been, the victims of racism. And it was like, uniting these two people groups against the real villain, which is, of course, England, as always.
Right. Yeah. I see what you're saying. I mean, I always took that as she gets called this racial slur because of how she looks on the outside. You have no idea who she, her heritage or anything like that.
Yeah.
Joe is a white guy. If you don't hear Joe speak, he just looks like he could be English.
Sure.
She's being judged right away.
Right.
Where it can go through. So to me, it's like, you don't understand. And then for him to say, well, I do, I'm Irish. So it is unity, but on face value, she's judged right away.
Sure. And I'm not going to say, oh, it is exactly the same, but irrational racism, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you hate a people group.
Yeah.
And again, like there is a history to back that up. So yeah, that sent me down a real rabbit hole for the last few days.
A lot of what I read, like reviews about this movie and relating it to if it was made today, is Jess and Jules would be lesbians.
Sure. Yeah.
And like we could just get rid of Joe. And that's like the biggest criticism of that. These two, we could have seen that. We could have seen them in a relationship, but because of the early 2000s, we chose not to. Mm-hmm. And like you said, there's that queer panic that's going through. But I also just love their friendship. And even if they are close and are affectionate towards one another, I do love that as well. It's just keeping it as a friendship level.
Yeah. I mean, I would say get rid of Joe and just don't have any romance at all.
Or just have no romance at all, because the romance is believing in yourself, romance and friendship and romance in a sport you have passion for.
Right. The romance is soccer. I mean, football. Like the romance is
Right.
the
Right.
passion is I want to play and I want to beat people and I want to. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be love at all. That is the drive of the movie, and yeah, kind of muddying the waters with Joe. No, I mean, Joe is useful because Jules doesn't have the dad, I should say, who is non-supportive. And Jess comes into this and she gets close with Joe, and he also has problems with his father. It's getting into a discussion of like, hey, it's bad all over. Also, here's this guy who is living soccer, but even he has a bad relationship with his dad. And so I think that kind of brings some clarity for Jess of her own situation. But that could also be done with a coach who's 50 years old.
No, or we could use Joe. Just don't make it a love interest.
Yeah.
Last week, you said you enjoy Rocky so much because there's not actually a lot of sport in it.
Yes.
Comparatively to this movie, we see a lot of sport.
We do. I mean, she's, like I said, she's kicking the lettuce with her knees.
There's so many training sequences.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many viewpoints of the ball being kicked.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much footwork.
But a lot of tight shots on night games. And I'm wondering if that's because they didn't have extras.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I was maybe in a Rocky mindset of like the last fight from Rocky when they had to go back and shoot it without the crowd. Because I was like, pull back a bit. Let's see. And they never do. They never do. It's all really tight on the action. I would almost say the same thing about this movie, that there's not that much sports in it. Like I didn't feel that this was a movie that was like overly filled with sports stuff.
I agree with you, but I feel we saw more of it than last week compared to Rocky.
For sure. Yeah.
Rocky's just talking and talking and talking and talking.
Right. Okay, so I do have a question, because yes, we have a triangle, but we also have like a I don't know, what's a two-sided shape? A line? Because there's also Jess and Tony.
Yes.
And Tony is sporting just like the most early 2000s, late 90s, like the single line of sideburn. And Tony and Jess have been mates, as they call it, for years and years and years. And then it turns out that Tony is gay. And I wrote in my notes, Tony is gay? I did not see that
Tony's been gay
coming.
the whole time.
Yeah. But I didn't see that coming. Did you? I mean, well, it's hard to ask now because you've seen it for so long.
I don't remember how I originally felt. But that scene of Jess being like, do you like me? Yes, I like you. And then, do you like Beckham? But I like Beckham.
Right. Yeah, wasn't expecting that. And then the dude is like, okay, fine. I'll marry you. But then he pulls like the greatest switcheroo ever. He gets up in front of the family and he's like, we're going to get married, but she gets to go to whatever school that she wants.
I love it.
And so I was like, very strategic move, because honestly, in 4 years, you could just naturally break up and you don't actually have to go through with it. But it's very kind of him.
Yeah. I mean, this is like a really, not only that best friend move, but showing up to the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, Jess, you can still make it to the second half of the match.
Right.
I mean, he's the one who really gets her to go, because the final match is the same day of Pinky's wedding.
Right. Yeah. And so that criticism, like, oh, they didn't make them gay because it was the early 2000s. I'm not 100% sold on that, because you do have this gay character who's portrayed in a very positive light. Like he's a hero like 3 times throughout this movie.
Right.
So I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sold on that because of how Tony is portrayed and what he gets to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. Rewatching this, did you want Jules's clear plastic CD holder wall thing.
Oh my gosh. All of it. Her, when she goes to the club
Yeah.
and has that top that's just only she could wear. Like I could never, I mean,
Well, there's
everything
no
would be
back.
out. I mean, everything would be out. That sequin top is
Yeah.
so iconic.
Is it?
Well, to me and to Amy.
Sure.
So to us, but yes, it's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I took note of that when Keira Knightley turned around. I was like, it's being held on with dental floss. Like, oh my gosh.
It's so good.
Have you ever been to a club?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been to a club.
You say that like you're a regular. You're a member of the club.
Well, no, I mean, have you ever been to a club?
Once.
Yeah.
Recently. I don't know if you remember my story.
I do.
I had to pass a vibe check.
Yes, which I still, sometimes I think about that and I don't know why. The things that run into my head, but I'm like, the idea of Seth having to pass a vibe check is very funny to me.
It's very funny to me too.
Or anyone having to pass it. Like, what does that mean, passing a vibe check?
Like, I could pass a vibe check to get into, like, Fuddruckers or KFC or Red Robin. You know what I mean? Like, if they had someone outside of the door of those restaurants,
what?
They'd be like, you can come in.
What's the standard for that?
Me.
Okay. I'm pretty sure a lot of us could pass that vibe check.
You must be this tall and this weird looking to come inside. But to get into a nightclub, they were slow that night. That's the only reason that I passed the vibe check, I guarantee.
Maybe it was also the company you were with. You're like, well, they're all good, so we'll just let this schlub in.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question. I have a series of questions for you, I guess. Just little things that I wrote down.
Go for it.
That I was wondering if you also kind of took note of. They say in it.
In it.
Like every 5 seconds in this movie.
I know.
Do British people actually say in it that much? I'm curious.
I'm not a representative for the Brits, but should I ask Simon?
Yeah, Simon, our British friend.
Simon, who helped me out with learning about Ian Wright and the Union Jack.
Sure.
Gosh, I felt so just something sending a voice memo to Simon. Be like, please don't judge me. This is cringy, but like I'm a dumb American who's not versed in British history. So can you please help me out? And Simon was very kind to do so.
Look, we can't know everything, all right?
Right.
And that's basically what Americans tell ourselves. Whenever something comes out that we don't know about, we're like, hey,
well,
look, what do you want me to do? Keep learning? I already graduated high school, okay?
Oh, gosh.
Can't keep going.
No.
Second thing is the captain of the football team that she is on.
Yeah.
At one point, holds up a tampon and says, the painters and decorators are in, and then exits. And everyone in the room just goes,
So funny you say that because I wrote that down too to look up.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this like Cher saying she's cruising the Crimson Wave? Which as a kid, went over my head. And in the early 2000s, I probably didn't fixate on that line. But now watching everything with captions, like nothing escapes me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
She's a singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from All Saints.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
like, have you ever heard this phrase?
I haven't. No. So again, is this another British?
I can't. I mean, riding the Crimson Wave, I can understand easily.
Well, sure.
The painters and decorators are in. What is happening down there? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I mean, no, right? But when I paused to write that down, I had like a quick second, and I was like, "Let me think about this." Like the tampon goes in, and it's like we're painting. Literally, that's what my brain was doing.
And then I want to make note of the soundtrack. I loved the soundtrack.
Oh my gosh.
Love the soundtrack.
It's so good.
Yes.
It's so good. Yeah.
Especially the song I Turn to You by Mel
C?
Mel C.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a Mel C and a Mel B?
Correct. Yep.
That's too much.
Mel C is Sporty Spice. Mel B is Scary Spice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the other spices?
Okay, ready?
Yep.
There are 5 Spice Girls.
Correct.
Okay, good. There is Sporty Spice.
Yep.
And that's Mel C.
Yep. Because I just said that. So yes.
And Mel C married David Beckham?
Nope.
Okay. There's Scary Spice, who is Mel B, who is now on America's Got Talent.
Yep.
Then there's Baby Spice, who is Mel A. No. There's Baby Spice. There's Ginger Spice. Oh, wow. I did it.
You're still missing one.
And there's Posh Spice.
Who's married to...
And Posh Spice is David Beckham's wife.
Do you know Posh Spice's name?
I know we said their names at the beginning of this episode. David and Gloria?
Victoria Beckham.
Victoria. What was her name before Beckham?
Victoria Adams.
Oh, okay.
And then you didn't say Baby Spice's name.
No, I don't know who that is.
It's Emma.
Okay.
Emma
Ginger
Bunton.
Spice is the only spice named after a spice.
Oh, and what's Ginger Spice's name?
No. Oh.
You probably...
Well, give me a hint.
It begins with a G.
Gina Gershon. No.
Yes, her name is Gina Gershon.
In a wild coincidence, is it Gina?
It's Jerry.
Jerry Lawler. Nope, that's the wrestler.
Oh, wow. Jerry Halliwell.
Okay, I do know that name. I do that.
Yeah, I figured you would.
But yeah, I Turn to You. I was loving that song when it came out. Were you like,
I need to go to a club right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I think another thing that I've told on the show maybe is when I was a really young kid, I had a little Crayola alarm clock. And Friday night and Saturday night, WBLI, the Long Island radio show, would play club music from maybe 9 o'clock to like 1 a.m. And I would put the volume all the way because I was supposed to be asleep, you know? And like I shared a room with 2 or 3 people at any given time because there's a million of us. And I would lay under the blanket with my Crayola alarm clock listening to club music and like techno and dance hall and all of that stuff. And I still to this day, like when I hear any kind of club music from around that time period, I'm just like, yes.
Do you remember Sandstorm?
Of course, yes.
Oh my God. I mean, I feel like that was like the song of our youth. I mean, I would make up dances to that song.
Yeah.
And just in my room, like over on repeat.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is that good?
Yeah. Do you remember Every Time We Touch?
Every time we touch, get this feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
One of the greatest songs ever written. Like, and so, yeah, so watching this movie and I Turn to You came on, I was like, yes, please, more.
I would like to see a Seth Club dance. Because it just takes your has to like take your body over. Like you become like the inflatable
yes
man you see at the dealership.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. I don't think I would move a lot. I would just like shake.
Oh, yeah, that works just too. It takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the older woman who says lesbian. I thought she was a Pisces.
The line is so good.
That was pretty good. Yeah, it's good. This is something that I think should be done in every single movie, which is the cast and the crew singing along to a song as the credits play. Saving Private Ryan, like every movie should do bloopers.
I agree.
Or something like this as the credits are rolling.
I agree. I'm so glad you watched it. It's so enjoyable.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like who sees that in the credits and doesn't like it? We all like it every time.
Yeah.
Movie makers, please put this in.
And also, it keeps you watching. And so you will read all of the credits because sometimes when a movie ends, you're like, I'm done.
Sure.
And I love seeing it, and I love reading the credits that follow it. And it was so fun to see the cast and crew, and they're singing Hot, Hot, Hot.
Yes. Hot, hot,
Hot,
hot.
hot. Yeah.
I don't know the words to that song, but everybody can join in.
Hot,
Hot, hot, hot.
And they all look like they're having fun.
Right. Yeah.
And so then it just leaves you with this happy feeling.
Right. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like
great.
every movie should do. Maybe again, you don't have Saving Private Ryan singing "Hot, Hot, Hot." Fine.
I don't know what you're referencing because I've never seen that movie. So
Well, it's a war movie.
No, I know it's a war movie, but
Yeah.
it makes me just want to watch the credits.
Well, there's not this during it. I can tell you that. But like bloopers,
I know,
or even
it.
just like the cast and crew like waving. You know what I mean? Like I like the idea of a movie ending and then being like, "Hey, this was a movie."
Yeah. Right. Right.
You know, like we're acknowledging that this was a movie. We're all in on the joke. And yeah, this is it's always very offensive to say the credits are the best part of a movie, right? But this was very fun and enjoyable.
So the budget for this movie was $5.6 million.
Wowee, good.
It made 76.6 at the box office.
Very nice.
It has an 85% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.4 on Letterboxd, 66 on Metacritic.
Okay.
It is not in the Criterion Collection or the National Registry.
Okay.
Ebert gave it 3.5 stars.
Wow.
And production days about 9 weeks from what I could find.
All of that is pretty great. 5.6 million for this. Very reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, it took her a long time to get approval and funding for this because everyone's like, no one wants to see, girl sport movies. Sport movies don't do anything. And also, I just want to mention when she first approached David Beckham, like years before, like she wrote this script, I think it was like maybe late 90s. And obviously approached Beckham and was like, hey, can we use your name? You're throughout this movie. And he was like, of course. I want to support this because I support girls football. And I want families to come to matches.
Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know nothing about this guy.
Oh, God. He's so hot. It's
okay. Well,
I'm sorry to go there, but like, it's.
Well, like I've seen the shirtless ads for cologne, of course, but I don't know anything about David Beckham as a person. Like, is he the bad boy of soccer?
Is
he the good guy?
He was definitely different because he was doing
bending
underwear ads and
okay,
into fashion, and he was dating a Spice Girl. So and I don't want that to take away from his talent, and I'm sure other people, for surface level, from a pop culture level, I am very into Posh and Becks.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are other football players to talk about and highlight their careers.
Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Is that one?
Mm-hmm.
I just see names,
No,
like,
I know.
It just flashes to me.
Yes. That's how I feel about a lot of things.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of them showing up at the end of the movie, but then it's not actually them.
Yeah, it's right.
Like,
they just see them in the airport.
That airport, before we finish, I know we're going, but like, I don't like pretty much any part of that airport scene.
Well, logistically, it just doesn't make sense where the wide shot of it, there's so much empty space.
Yeah.
And yet we're all crammed very close together, both families, right? We have Jules' family and Jess's family, and then Joe shows up. And so Jess like goes 2 feet behind her family and has this exchange with Joe. And I'm like, your family doesn't see you kissing this guy or hear any of this conversation.
Right. Yeah. It feels like the timing of it is kind of off. Because if you're going to say Jess loves David Beckham and speaks to David Beckham, he's basically her imaginary friend, right? Inspiration. She learns to bend it like him. To me, the scene plays out. Joe shows up. Everyone else is distracted by Beckham. and she can't be bothered because she's moved from this like fantasy world to her real life that's happening before her. But like timing wise, it like kind of works that way, because like you said, it doesn't really make sense that her family isn't seeing this conversation and seeing them kiss. It does if everyone's distracted by Beck. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I see the vision for this and I see the vision for this moment, but it all plays out so sloppy.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Yeah. Are you mad that Jess didn't turn for Bex and Posh?
No. Don't even bring him in. Don't even bring them into it. Like, I think you have Joe show up and they have a moment, and then they all go to the airport and Joe's just not even there. You don't need him there.
Yeah, right, at the airport.
You know, the families are saying goodbye to them. They're going to America together, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know if this is your crappy, but what's your happy?
Oh.
Let's go into that.
It's time for Happies and Crappies. Happies and Crappies. It's time for Happies and Crappies. Happies and Crappies.
My happy for this movie is just all of the family stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The cooking and the dance. When they're all in the tiny living room,
Oh,
just
I
like
know,
dancing.
the celebration.
And then
Yeah.
doing the ceremonies with the bracelets and like the feet on the pillow or whatever. I was like, this is awesome. And I started to say this earlier, but like when I stop and think about like what could you cut from this movie, I think it would probably get close to like cutting out that stuff. And I don't want to cut any of that stuff. So yeah. And then my crappy for the movie is like just the love stuff, I guess. It's not like I know that's a really broad crappy to have, but just keep it about them. Keep it about football.
Yeah. I have two happies.
Is that
So-
legal?
What?
I said, is that legal?
I'm hosting. I could do whatever I want.
Okay, good point.
Okay, so towards the end of the movie, Jess is hanging laundry on the line outside.
Yep.
And there's no dialogue. She's in her backyard. And then we see her kick.
Mm-hmm.
And she does the curve. She bends it like Beckham. So this scene was pivotal for behind the scenes because it was like one of the first that they shot. And the whole crew is behind her. And so she just does it. And they were like, okay, this is going to work.
Wow.
So she proved it like,
Sure.
yeah, I got this.
That's
and then
great.
my other happy is Jules's father teaching his wife the rules of football with the condiments. I thought that was great. My crappy is I don't really have one, but I would trim it up.
Sure.
So maybe I would cut some of the sequences, the training sequences just a little bit.
Sure.
Just to make it a little shorter. All right. Well, I'm dying to know if anybody responded on Twitter or Instagram.
A few.
Okay. Not like it could happen to you.
No, it could happen to you. Everybody.
Wow.
We used up all of our goodwill.
Maybe the trick is to not expect it. And then it
Interesting.
comes to fruition or something like that. I don't know.
Betsy Gorm at Gorm_Betsy.
Betsy, you know, she wrote to me last week and she said, I just want to let you know I guessed your rating for Rocky.
She won a pickle.
She won a pickle.
Wow. You know, we could play that game with people. Tell them to lock it in.
Could. Yes.
Who would know if they're cheating? I mean, come on.
That's true. That's true.
You're not a movie friend if you're doing that, I just gotta say.
Honor system.
Yeah. Anyway, Betsy Pickle Winner says, I saw this on my college campus in 2003, and there was an audible gasp when Jonathan Rhys-Meyers showed up at Jess's house looking like this. And then
Yes! That's it.
It's the white,
my gosh.
The white button down that you referred to.
And just showing up on her behalf too. Yeah.
Jamila.
Hey.
At Wildcat Tin Now. Wow. Says, this is one I think they should actually remake, and they should be gay for each other like it was intended. And then two people replied to Jamila. Can I kick it? It's your boy Krista. Said, but Jonathan Rhys-Meyers with a heart eye emoji. And then Josie at the _other_ JB_ said yes, but also Jonathan Rhys Meyers with an I heart emoji.
Yes. We can't escape it. You know, I'm going to put a disclaimer here. I want to apologize if you've made it this far in the show and if I've mispronounced anybody's name that worked on this film.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because in the beginning, I'm not sure if I nailed all those pronunciations of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
It is tough. But I'm like, it is Jonathan Rhys Meyers, is Jonathan Rice Myers. That's why I said that thought.
Yeah.
That's why I said that.
And then over on Instagram, Rashawn Jamal says, just watched it last night and holy montage, Batman.
I can't wait for Rashawn to send the Happies and Crappies.
For this movie?
Mm-hmm.
He did send Happies and Crappies for Rocky, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But thanks, friends. Let's go to our segment where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3 Star, 5 Star. These are reviews from Letterboxd.com, which is an app and a website where you can log, rate, and review movies. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating you can give a movie, and we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating you can give a movie. Seth is going to read our half-star review, as he always does. I think it's only fitting you do a British accent.
Of course, yeah. To be honest, this movie is really good, but I'm angry because they didn't end up being lesbians. Wowee.
So many of the reviews were this.
I'm sure.
3-star review. The football scenes, cinematic gold. The romance subplot, about as necessary as a screen protector on a Nokia brick.
Yeah, I agree.
And our 5-star review, I'm not even kidding, when one of the best movies ever made. I love womanhood. I love romance. I love complex family dynamics. I love culture. I love Irishmen. I love soccer. Don't regret choosing your happiness. Everything will follow after. Teary-eyed emoji.
Aw.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm very curious to see if Seth was able to guess what I rate this movie.
Sure.
We rate a movie as a schmovie movie or film. We also rate it 1 to 5 stars and give our final thoughts and recommendations. Seth, you can go first.
All right. So I guessed that you were going to rate Bend It Like Beckham from 2003. 2002? I don't know.
2002.
4-star movie.
He's back in the game.
Yay! Hooray!
He gets a pickle.
I've done it.
You get a
Finally.
dill. You get a dill pickle. Yes, 4-star movie. I am always going to recommend this movie. It has a special place in my heart. It saved my butt on my final in college. And I have fond memories when I think about it, and I think of Amy every time I watch it. And I think it's really good. And I think it did from a cultural standpoint. This is a big deal. And I forgot to mention this, and I'm curious if any of our listeners will write in about this. But Anthony said he watched this movie in school.
Okay,
And
like high
upon
school?
yes, and upon reading reviews, people talked about how they watched this movie in school. I never watched it in high school, so.
Okay,
But it's definitely a sign of the times as well. So
sure.
if you're into movies from that time period, I think you should add this one to your list.
All right, what did you guess
Okay,
for me?
So for you, I wrote down 3.5 movie.
Very good.
Did I get it right?
You did, yes.
We're back.
Yeah. Goal.
Woo!
Rip your shirt off. That was the only thing that I knew about soccer because we were watching and I think someone starts to take their shirt off and G Marie was like, what's going on? And I was like, that's what they do. I also liked at one point, Keira Knightley like scores a goal and puts her foot up on someone's knee and they pretend to shine the shoe. That was a fun little moment.
I love when that happens in sports.
Okay. Now, not to get too far off, but in football, they'll do celebratory, whatever. Would you not spend like half of your time thinking about what you were going to do?
Absolutely.
Like if you and I were on a football team.
That's right.
We would have all these coordinated.
Oh, forget it. I mean, the handshakes. It would be better than my game.
Yep. I would take my helmet off and I would pretend to take like a bottle out of my pocket, fill it up, and then drink it or I'd pour it all over myself.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Maybe I would hide like a little lizard in my helmet, take it off, and then put the lizard.
Except no one would know it's a lizard because we can't see it.
Put the lizard in my hand and the lizard would like stand up and do a dance. Come on. That's all I would think about.
Sure. I would like pretend to take a picture and I'd make you pose and you'd have to do like a runway.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
How is that? And you know what? People would love it. More people would watch football. Maybe they need us in the NFL.
I think so. Okay, but are you recommending this?
3.5-star movie. I had fun watching this. I did think that like I said, I came around on the length of time because I loved all of the stuff around the wedding and the family and the food. I loved the soundtrack. Again, I think everyone here is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. I'm more impressed now learning that they weren't like proficient soccer players or even, casual soccer players. Parminder Nagra as Jess is great. I really enjoyed her. I recommend this movie if you want to feel like early 2000s nostalgia. Beyond that, like I said, it's kind of like the moral of the story we've seen 1,000 times before, and you might watch this and be upset that they're not lesbians like everybody else. So I would recommend it. And then like in terms of it being a sports movie, I feel like the sports part of it is so pushed to the side. Again, like I feel like this movie isn't making like huge general statements. It's making statements about the two main characters. Being a sports movie, you would think like the final game, the big game where the scout is going to be, would be like bigger or just longer or more of a focus. And it kind of just like happens like in a montage kind of a way. And then we're straight back to, get your lesbian feet out of my shoes. Like just like that. Like it's just a stepping stone. It's not the big stepping stone. Right. So I don't even know that I recommend this as a sports movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I totally recommend this as a sports movie.
Sure. But I did like it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So on our pickle scale rating system, Seth is rating this as a kosher deli. And I'm rating this as a dill pickle. Very good.
Very good.
Okay.
And on our pickle tally.
Oh my God, the number finally changes.
Michelle is up to 4 and I'm up to 6.
I'm so excited because tomorrow Liz and I are placing a pickle order and we're going to get pickled artichokes.
Ooh, very nice.
Artichoke hearts. Yes.
So we've reached double digits now.
What do you mean we've reached double digits?
4 and 6 is 10.
Oh, you mean like collectively?
Yeah, collectively, yeah.
I was like, I don't have double-digit pickles. I would know. All right. Does this pass the Seth Shell test? This movie must contain something tangible that is impressive, whether choreography, production design, or a practical effect, and it must have a runtime that is justified by its content. What do you think, Seth?
I think that this like squeaks in for me because knowing about the training and that she learned how to bend it for real, and now that I know what that means, I am impressed by that. And I think that the runtime is fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Hey, if you agree with us, or if you don't, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Starcatcher, Streamboat, whatever, You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Hey, if you are very educated in the history of racism in the UK in the 1930s and you'd love to correct us, please do so. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows, our patron-only Discord. You get to vote on upcoming episodes and monthly themes. And you get added to Michelle's Inner Circle, where you get to decode the secret message at the end of every episode. And I'm very curious, for those of you who listen to the show who are not in Michelle's Inner Circle, have you listened past the credits? Do you hear the numbered sequence that plays. And like, what do you think of that? I'm very curious.
Yeah, that would be nice to hear from someone.
Because
who's
every
not a
time I
Patreon
hear it,
member.
I laugh.
Oh, me too. I have a
It's
nice
so
giggle.
weird.
It's so weird.
It's very weird. Okay, next week, my pick. So we're going to talk about The Sandlot from 1993, directed by David Mickey Evans. This is 101 minutes, and it is unfortunately currently not streaming anywhere. The reason I'm so kind of torn on this one is I haven't seen this movie since I was young. But this was a movie that we watched quite often, and I really liked.
Well, I can't believe I'm actually finally going to watch this. I know I've said that a couple of times on the show. And the comparison that comes to me is It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
When people find out I haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life, I mean, I've seen it now. They're like, what? It's the same response I get with The Sandlot.
Right. So, you know what? That makes me feel better about picking it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. You picked one that I definitely should have seen by now, Bend It Like Beckham. And I'm picking one that you should have seen by now, The Sandlot.
There we go. That makes it equal and balanced.
Classic movie friends. We're back.
We're back. We guessed each other's ratings.
Wow.
We're well oiled. We feel good.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Well, hey, thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth. This was fun.
This was fun. I'm no longer ashamed to have not seen Bend It Like Beckham. And hey, thank you very much for listening. And remember, folks, anyone can cook Aloo Gobi, but who can bend a ball like Beckham? Till next time, thank you for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Theme music by Jean Marie Vargas. Visit us at our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and please subscribe and rate our show wherever you are listening. You can support Movie Friends at patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Thanks for listening.
Incoming. Message incoming. Message to Michelle's inner circle. Remember, kids, only Michelle's inner circle can decipher this week's message. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready.
Message number 14. 62, 63, 43, 56, 76, 83, 62, 68, 56, 85, 46, 87, 79, 63, 35, 87, 92, 57, 62, 64, 56, 47, 62, 90, 54, 66, 73, 54, 67, 63, 33, 59, 76, 44, 52, 53, 49, 57, 33, 66.
Michelle is counting on you. Do not let her down.